Okay, good morning, everyone. We still have some colleagues that are members of the Alliance that are joining us in person that still need to come here because of the bad traffic in Rome. But we are going to start the session today. My name is Gladys Morales. I lead the innovation unit here at the International Fund for Agricultural Development. For colleagues that are online, we have here the great honor at IFAD to have the representatives of the innovation labs or innovation units of the members of the Moonshots for Development Alliance. They're in person here in Rome all of this week for the different meetings that we have been doing, from the innovation bootcamp that we had with led by the Asian Development Bank and KPMG to the kickoff reception yesterday, and then meetings today, starting with this stocktaking and strategic foresight session. This first session of the day is a closed session only for members of the Alliance and for our guests potentially interested in becoming members of the Alliance. The second session that we will have today will be starting at 11:30 a.m. and that session is a public session that will be featuring the final pitch of the winners of the Moonshots for Development Alliance Open Innovation Challenge on Artificial Intelligence for Climate Resilience in Rural Areas. So that will be happening at 11:30. And you will see there the projects that we have been supporting with financing, coaching, and with advisory services. And later, Mara will explain more about what those advisory services are about. Then at 2 p.m. today, we will have an innovation talk around the topic of digital public goods and digital public infrastructures to enhance impact for climate action and food security. And colleagues will be joining us shortly. The speakers will be joining us shortly for that session as well. So before we start, I would like to ask everybody that, let's start with the people that are online, if you could start by introducing yourselves. And for those of you that are new to the meetings of the Moonshots for Development Alliance, could you please state where in your organization your unit is placed and what is your interest in joining today's meeting? Thank you. Chris, maybe we can start with you. Chris Brett from the bank.
Yeah, thanks very much. Greetings, everybody. My name's Chris Brett. I'm the lead agribusiness specialist in the World Bank, sitting in the agriculture and food global practice. Really looking forward today, and a real opportunity to get the community really aware of the ag results model that we've been developing, and I'm looking forward to presenting that. So thank you very much, Gladys and team.
Thank you, Chris. Shihao from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank.
Yeah, hello everyone. Pleasure to meet you. I am joining today with my colleague Roman. So we both sit in the strategy department of the AIIB, especially sector strategy, where we look at digital infrastructure as a sector and also technology as a cross-cutting team, looking to increase the application of technology in all infrastructure sectors, as well as investing into technologies through private equity and venture capital funds. This is the first time we are joining an M4D session, and we want to learn how these sessions go to consider joining. And we'll be presenting very briefly one of our latest initiatives on Infratech. Looking forward to the session.
Thank you, Shihao. Roman from AIIB.
Hi, I'm Roman. I'm supporting the digital infrastructure and technology strategy team. And I think Shihao mentioned all of the key points.
Thank you, Roman. Let's move on now to our colleagues from CJAR, the ones online, and then we'll do our colleagues that are here also in person. So let's start with you, Julian, from CJAR.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Jules Colomer. I'm the director of the Portfolio Performance Unit. I'm joined by my colleagues, Ido and Mark. I think Mark will be the one presenting today, and we'll be showcasing our sort of core performance and results management and innovation portfolio management approach that we're rolling out at the CGIAR. So really pleased to meet you and looking forward to this session. Thanks.
Thank you, Julian. Mark from CJR.
Hi, good morning, good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Schut. I'm a Senior Advisor in Innovation Portfolio Management with CGIAR, joining you from Kenya. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Mark. Ido from CJR.
Yes, hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm in transit, so apologies for any background noise. My name is Ido Dror. I work with Jules and Mark in the Portfolio Performance Unit of CGIAR, and I also lead innovation and scaling work for the International Livestock Research Institute, one of our centers. Pleased to be here with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ido. Let's move on now to colleagues. I think Yolanda from the Inter-American Development Bank Innovation Lab.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's nice to be here. My name is Yolanda Strawn from the IDB Lab, and I work on connections, partnerships, and strategic initiatives based in Washington, D.C. And it's very nice to see you all and pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Yolanda. I believe we also have other colleagues online. Jeroen from UNCCD.
Hi. Yes, good morning. I'm Jeroen van Dalen. I'm with UNCCD, and I work in the Communications, External Relations, and Partnerships office. But I'm also working on technology transfer, and we're interested to join this group as well. It's the first time I'm joining today, so thank you.
Thank you, Jeroen. And may I ask, are you one of the guests of the Inter-American Development Bank, or who are you a guest of? Sorry.
Well, we've been working with the Inter-American Development Bank. I don't know where, because I got this invitation forwarded from my colleague. So I don't know where the original invitation came from.
Okay, it might be that it was our climate colleagues that sent you the invitation. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I think I have everyone online already. If I have missed anyone, please just raise your hand online so that I can see you. Not missing anyone. Okay. So then let's move to the room here at IFAD. I'm going to start from that extreme over there. Saad, over to you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. My name is Saad Paracha. I'm with the Asian Development Bank IT and Innovation team. Very glad to be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Uzair Khan, also with Asian Development Bank, leading digital for operations. Thank you.
Good day. This is Stephanie. I'm the Director General from Asia Development Bank.
Good morning. This is Mara Balestrini. I lead the Digital Transformation Program at IDB Lab, the Innovation Laboratory of the Inter-American Development Bank.
Good morning. This is Regina Schmidt from the Innovation Accelerator of the World Food Program, and I'm leading the acceleration programs for WFP. Very nice to be here and meet many in person and online.
Hi, good morning, colleagues. Mark from the Asian Development Bank, working with the Digital Learning Labs and with a special focus on innovation, and looking forward to this session. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Amra Hilani, a communication project junior expert at the CJR Accelerate for Impact platform. Nice to meet you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Steele. I support innovation ecosystem engagement for the CJR Accelerate for Impact platform.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeremy from OpenSPP Projects.
Jeremy, maybe you want to say what OpenSPP is?
Yes, OpenSPP is an open source social protection platform working on social protection program, social registry, and farmer registry. and working right now on a project in Laos with IFAD.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jeremy. And Jeremy and Michelle, also from OpenSPP, will be joining us later today for the innovation talk on digital public goods and digital public infrastructures at 2 p.m. today again. I think that the team has shared with you the registration link in case that you haven't registered for that session yet. So with that, I think this is a good start for us to initiate the conversations around the stock taking and the strategic foresight of where is that we want to go this year, but also what is the future of the Alliance. I'm going to give the floor to Stephanie, Director General of the Asian Development Bank, so that she shares with you some of the work, some of the history of the Alliance, and some of the work that we have done so far. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, Gladys. Let me first extend my sincere gratitude to the organizers for bringing us together here in Rome today. It's truly a pleasure to be here and reflect on our journey since the inception of the Moonshot for Development Open Innovation Challenge. So from the beginning, our commitment to this collaborative effort has been unwavering. Moonshot for Development is actually a global alliances of different innovations, arms and labs within international financial institutions, multilateral development banks, and like-minded organizations who share the mission of the alliances and believe in leveraging on their different capability and experience in the innovation space will provide greater and global impact. So in fact, I think yesterday we actually talked about what is our mission. It includes knowledge sharing, innovation management, research and development, development for digital public infrastructure and digital public good, co-financing and of a joint venture, international forums, establish strategic conversations. Today, we celebrate the success of the M4D challenge. It's essential to recognize that our journey is far from over. Our dedication to working together alongside with our esteemed winners and member of countries remain steadfast. As for Asia and the Pacific Climate Bank, ADB has a set ambitious goal to addressing the pressing issues for our time, such as providing 100 billion in climate financing from its own resources by 2030. There is a dire need for more solutions in climate resilience, as the countries are heavily hit by COVID-19, are struggling with the effect of climate change, loss of biodiversity, and other issues that not only hinder but threaten to reverse the hard-earned effort and development progress that we have striven for in the past decades. Only a few days ago, Southeast Asia was experiencing the record-breaking heat wave, which is killing new crops across the region and closing schools and putting the most vulnerable at grave risk. The situation is predicted to only worsen towards the summer. With plans to provide substantial support to food securities and climate resilience, we aim to mitigate the impact of climate change and biodiversity loss in the region. But we need to act fast, and we need to act together as an international community. Our effort cannot succeed in isolations. We are striving, nurturing, cultivating partnership with innovative company which enable us to have early access to test new tools and technologies with our member country. Collaborations and early engagement of our member countries' governments is paramount in successful implementation of the solutions. We are committed to showcasing and piloting the solutions developed through the M4D's challenges to inspire and educate more of our member countries. By demonstrating what is possible, we aim to catalyze action towards a more sustainable future. Moreover, through initiatives such as capacity building with our ADB's digital leadership training program and the scaling of successful capstone projects. We strive to empower our member countries to better prepare for tomorrow. Amidst the daunting challenges we confront with climate change, innovation really emerged as our most potent ally. Artificial intelligence stands as the forefront, offering vast potential to propel both growth and innovations. Yet, its a seamless integration demands more than only technological investment. It necessitates the cultivation of our teams and the government capacity to leverage AI responsibly. The winner of this challenge have exemplified and thoroughly designed the solution with this in mind. In closing, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone involved in this remarkable journey, to the organizer, to the winning organizations, and all partners. Your dedications and commitment has been truly inspiring. As we move forward, let us remain steadfast in our commitment to leveraging AI for climate resilience and sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, Director General of the Asian Development Bank. We have two members of the Alliance that have just joined, so I'm going to give the floor very quickly to them because they didn't get a chance to introduce themselves. We have Chris from the European Space Agency and Giampiero Mezza from the Accelerate for Impact platform at CJR. Chris, over to you.
Press the button.
There you go. Yes, hi everybody. I'm sorry for being late. The Rome traffic is usually quite unpredictable. So, my name is Chris, and I'm sure I have a bit more time later to introduce our activities, but I manage the Global Development Assistance Program at the European Space Agency, where we collaborate with essentially all the IFIs, including the ones in the room, obviously, and online. And we try to basically mainstream the use of satellite Earth observation in development operations. So this whole theme of bringing innovation to scale is very much at the heart of the program we set up. And yeah, we'll dive into more details later. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, Chris. Giampiero, CJR.
Thank you, Gladys, and very pleased to be here. And also two members of my team here, Ambra and Megan. Thank you for convening this important session here in Rome. And I'm Giampiero Mezza. I'm part of the Global Partnership Unit, the Alliance for Biodiversity International and CIET at CJR, and I lead the CJR Accelerate for Impact platform, which is a program that we launched approximately 3 years ago to better support scientists to translate science-based innovations developed by internally, and better connect them to market. So all we are trying to do is look for market viability of the innovations developed, at the same time better connect the organization to the innovation ecosystem out there, to create new synergies and partnership, to speed up instead of building from scratch solutions that sometimes, make it very inefficient. Thank you again, and back to you.
Thank you, Giampiero. That's exactly aligned to the mission of the Moonshots for Development Alliance. Before I give the floor to Saad, I just wanted to summarize very quickly how the Alliance started. It started in 2020 during the lockdown. We started with knowledge sharing events initially only, and the quarterly meetings that were designed in a Dragon's Den format so that we could pitch the ideas to each other and seek collaboration with the final aim to scale up innovations that we thought could deliver transformational results for our target beneficiaries. And last year, I think that we took a big step when we joined forces to launch the first Open Innovation Challenge on AI for climate resilience in rural areas. And you will hear more about that later today. We have someone else joining us in the room. So before I give the floor to Saad, can you please introduce yourself? Thank you.
Of course. Hi, everybody. Ronak Mittal from the Technology and Innovation Lab, World Bank. Glad to be here. Happy to share some of the work that we are doing and looking forward to learning from everybody.
Sorry, Ronak. I've seen you online and I didn't recognize you in person. You're a completely different person. Thank you so much for joining us, Raunak from the World Bank. So over to you, Saad from the Asian Development Bank. We're going to be talking about the bank's new global fund. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gladys and colleagues. So I just, yesterday we were discussing, we have 3 presenters in this session. So I have roughly 10 minutes. So I'll share a few ideas and proposals and sort of update on what we are planning to do, and happy to take any questions or feedback that you may have. So ADB, we started working on a AI for Development Fund, trust fund. Asian Development Bank manages a number of trust funds, like some of you who are here. World Bank also has their own trust fund looking at digital elements, and we started working on AI for Development Fund. But the reason we want to discuss it here is perhaps we can consider working towards a global fund, AI for Development Global Fund. And so mainly if there will be people interested, we can share the concept that we have prepared. If we just do it for Asian Development Bank, then we are limited to working only in our member countries, which are not mostly, they're all in Asia and the Pacific. And then many of you have a mandate which goes beyond Asia and Pacific. So in a nutshell, the trust fund, I think the context, we are all very much familiar. We have skeptics and we have proponents, but AI is here and is likely to stay, and it's developing very fast. Every other day there are new announcements. Technology companies are not waiting. They are just running with the technology, with the new options that are available. And we have to work with the member countries on how they can be prepared. So Asian Development Bank is working on a responsible AI framework. And I think many of you are also involved in supporting the member countries in some ways. So there's a lot of potential on the positive side, how and what AI could do for the member countries. But we have to help prepare for the challenges that are definitely going to be faced, whether it's reskilling, whether it's on the legal and policy side. And so if we can work together, there is, I think, greater opportunity, and we can address some of these challenges and build on the opportunities. So we would, the fund would, we are proposing that it focus on using AI to advance key sectors that impact the people, recognize the capabilities and potential, and so we will cover focus. Some of the sector focus could include human development, agriculture, food security, climate change, financial inclusion, economic empowerment, infrastructure, and of course, public sector management. We would like to propose it as a multi-donor, multi-partner fund with the usual steering committee, secretariat, and an advisory board, and a competitive project selection approval process for the fund. We would like to target mobilizing at least $100 million to start with, and then reach out to different players. There may be similar suggestions or work in progress. But we think that the focus on AI for development will be very crucial, even if it is under the technology ambit or umbrella, but it requires specific focus. So, as next steps, we are having internal consultations. We are also reaching out to some potential donors. But in terms of development partners, many of you are represented here today. And so we would like to hear your thoughts, or if you have similar plans, we can still perhaps work together. So that's one. Secondly, we would like to share that we are, it's a smaller initiative, but goes on to show that many of us may have these smaller initiatives which can somehow work together. So we are preparing a project, digital and AI solutions for agriculture sector. Initially, we are putting in $3 million to start with, and the country focus will be, right now we are looking at Central West Asia, so Armenia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Pakistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. If you have similar projects, for example, IFAD is in the process of developing a similar project. So, for example, they can cover South Asian countries, and then we can discuss modalities for collaboration, so that, let's say, there's a cross-regional cooperation, and then, we can, of course, share knowledge and, bring the solutions together to different regions and countries. So that's an area we would like to propose for further discussion and collaboration. Other than that, I think we will be discussing. So Asian Development Bank is managing a challenges platform. So some of your challenges for startups and new solutions have been hosted on the platform, and we are happy to make it available to others who may be interested in utilizing our platform. We are, for this year, I think during today's discussion, people are sharing different programs that they are working on. But as far as a Moonshots for Development partnership goes, we have a few things coming up. We plan to be at the Singapore FinTech Festival later this year. And we want to, last year we were also there. The festival is attended by more than 60,000 people, and there's a lot of opportunity to interact and showcase the work. We are also planning on some sessions, networking relating to climate change and technology. And so it will be a good opportunity for all of us to work together. Last point is that we have prepared a M4D website. We have reached out to all of you asking for inputs. And I think at some point, myself or Gladys can basically show it. It's work in progress, but we would like to launch it so that it's easy to refer people to, and people can also see what we are trying to do together. So we've kept it simple. And after this meeting, we will share it again with all of you so that hopefully by the end of the day, we can make it live. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saad, so much for that summary and for sharing with us all the contributions from the Asian Development Bank to the Moonshots for Development Alliance. I would like to highlight from the items that you shared with us the importance of the Open Innovation Challenge platform that ADB is contributing to the Alliance. It has cut selection times and disbursement times significantly because of the automation services that it offers, and also the fact that the scores remain anonymous. So that also helped a lot selecting the jurors within our organizations, and for them to feel free to contribute with their inputs in the technical assessment of the teams. With that, I'm going to give the floor to Mara Balestrini. She's the lead of digital transformation at the Inter-American Development Bank Innovation Lab, and where Mara has been pivotal in transforming how the bank reports in real time. Really impressive work that they're doing over there. But also, Mara will be sharing with us an initiative that we launched at the IFAD's Governing Council this year in February. It was launched by IFAD's president, but it has been work in progress since summer last year between the president of the Inter-American Development Bank, Ilan, and President Alvaro Lario from IFAD. So Mara is going to be talking about our joint venture. It's the first digital asset for IFAD, not the first one for the Inter-American Development Bank, but something that we want to contribute to the Moonshots for Development Alliance and make it available and accessible to everyone that belongs to the Alliance. Mara, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gladys. 2024, it's a big year for Moonshots for Development, but also for the IDB Lab. In the last annual meeting with our governors, IDB Lab got mandate for our governors to seek a replenishment of our fund. And this means that we will have a relaunched IDB Lab that seeks to become an innovation hub for Latin America and the Caribbean. And what this means is that we are increasingly trying to focus on development innovation programs rather than initiatives. And so in this regard, being part of the Moonshots for Development and Alliance is critical to us in our mission to develop solutions and to foster solutions that tackle innovation challenges at scale, and also developing digital public goods and infrastructure that can level the field for entrepreneurs and other actors in the region to create more and better scalable market-based solutions to development challenges. So one of the key projects that we are celebrating in 2024, and it's a real dream coming true, it's the Agro Web3 project that we have launched together between IDB Lab and the IFAD. So this project builds on the, well, basically it's a global public good of digital wallets for inclusion and resilience of smallholder farmers in the area of the Web3. This project builds on an initiative that IDB Lab launched a few years ago called LagChain. LagChain is the biggest public permissioned blockchain network in the world. It builds on Besu Hyperledger, and it already benefits more than 9 million people. There are 1,400 community members, 66 co-sponsors, 21 countries deploying solutions in the network, and over 100 solutions that have already been developed. So what is the problem that we're trying to tackle between IFAD and IDB Lab with this project? Well, a vast majority of smallholder farmers do not meet the opportunities for growth in revenue coming from global value change in the Web3 area due to high cost of access to certifications of their business capacities, such as provenance, production, environmental services, or credit history. So the proposed solution with Agro Web3 is that it will adapt and implement LagChain's single interoperable protocol and common standards for digital wallets for smallholder farmers, enabling instant and ultra-efficient verification or certification credentials required by global real and financial market players in the Web3 area. This is really taking smallholder farmers to the next level in being able to manage their data, manage their identity, digital identity, and manage these certificates. And what is coming together in this AgroWeb solution? Well, first, to build this, we will develop a single identifier. So each producer is going to be assigned a decentralized digital identity identifier, enabling the generation of digital records of land, production, and loans. Mobile wallets, a mobile application that enables farmers to manage their digital identity, their credit records, to track productivity and other information which is crucial to their business from their small smartphone. However, we understand that in rural areas, sometimes access to digital is not easy, and therefore there's also going to be an analog solution. So these digital records can be accessed also without the smartphones. There's an analog solution to the identity. And also there is, we're going to provide interoperability with certifying and financial entities, developing interfaces with certifying companies and microfinance institutions so that they can also, the small holder farmers can also get credit. And this means embedded finance within the program. And finally, the platform will allow buyers to trace back to producers and compensate them directly in tokens, creating new market opportunities for these beneficiaries. So there's a unique value proposition here, basically data economy, opportunities where smallholder farmers are going to be protagonists and be able to manage their own data directly. The initiative is expected to become a game changer in transforming the relationship between smallholder farmers and financial markets and empowering the beneficiaries. And also, we want to, with this, bootstrap a new area, unlocking more funding opportunities for these beneficiaries. Just to finalize, I'd like to share with you some of the key performance indicators that we're trying to achieve with this joint project. We want to reach at least 1 million smallholder farmers who are going to be using our digital wallets. We want AgroWeb 3 to become a global public good. This means developing a single interoperable protocol, underlying infrastructure, and a whole technology stack that will be documented and available for that other organizations to also become in the future part of this. 4 countries are expected to be involved, but we also aim to achieve replicability in other ecosystems due to the open nature of the stack being developed. And at least we want to develop 10 multi-purpose digital wallet solutions to meet the different needs of smallholder farmers. And with that, I think I'm going to give the word back to Gladys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mara. Just some key points before we open the floor, maybe for some questions if you want to learn more about AgroWeb 3. So it is a digital public good with an investment of over $12 million initial investment from the Inter-American Development Bank. We are now supporting the initiative with further $1.5 million from IFAD, and the investment committee from the Inter-American Development Bank just approved another $1.5 million. So this is an important investment for our organizations, but also aiming to invest further $6 million in the next 3 years so that we can reach the KPIs that Mara just mentioned. The KPIs that Mara just shared with you are the KPIs only for phase 1. The $6 million that we aim to raise for the second phase are for the second phase. The 4 countries that were chosen were based on a desk review. However, we are very conscious of the facts that even when you have regulation in place that allows for these digital public goods and digital public infrastructures to operate, sometimes the market is not ready. So the missions are starting next week, actually, in Peru, which is one of the selected countries. But and we won't know whether the implementation will go there until we have assessed the market and assess whether the private sector does have an interest in this particular platform. So the countries might change. Just for your information, in the initial design document, we had Peru, Colombia, Kenya, and Ghana as the countries where AgroWeb would start to be piloted, but we have a lot of interest from other countries in East and Southern Africa and also in Southeast Asia. So for those countries, the second phase would be supported by IFAD's program of loans and grants. I think that with that, maybe we can open the floor to any questions you might have.
Hi, Gladys and IFAD team. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot for the presentation. This is very fascinating work. I was wondering, how are you promoting it? So how do you basically do your outreach? How do you get the first users within your prioritized countries that you just mentioned?
That's a really good question. And that's a question that one of the first questions that I had for the IDB team. So the initiative is based on LagChain's flagship blockchain platform. And they launched it 2 years ago. And as Mara shared, they already have over 9.5 million users. And what kind of promotion they use? Zero. IDB doesn't do any marketing, any outreach to promote AgroWeb3. So it has been growing organically, very, very fast-paced and incredible growth. Now with AgroWeb3, the approach is very similar. We want to work with the market in a very similar way, being supply-driven and approaching the private sector with the same objectives, that it is their interest in increasing their profits, because with AgroWeb3 and with LagChain, that's what they effectively do, because of the of a significant reduction in transaction costs and intermediary costs. So there is an increase in profit, there is an increase in market share. So that's the interest from the private sector to join us. But then it's not just any company, any digital wallet provider in the private sector. It has to also be aligned to the mission of AgroWeb3, which is to make these technologies accessible, used and adopted by IFAD's target populations. So we will do some marketing, and we have a lot of interest from media. The application has already been on some international media, but we also have interest from other media. But right now, our efforts are focused on working with IFAD's country teams to ensure that we can mainstream this into IFAD's program of loans and grants. I hope that I answered your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We'll also be keen to hear from Mara how the growth journey looked like at the beginning stages of LagChain.
Thank you. So it's been a real adventure, because it's a very unique project. So we, as innovation venture arm of the IDB group, what we typically do is we fund other entrepreneurs, right? But in this case, we became the entrepreneurs ourselves and developing a solution that didn't exist in the market, just because we believed that there was so much potential. Web3 creates so much potential for development, and we didn't want to miss on the opportunity of creating a digital public good that would create a level playing field for other entrepreneurs to harness the potential of this technology before we faced another situation of tech monopoly, where a private player came up with a standard, and then that was it. Basically, there was not much external opportunity to compete within this ecosystem. So clearly there was a need for this, because we had, and we do have still lots of momentum with entrepreneurs and organizations and countries approaching us because they want to participate. A very interesting aspect about the project is that it went from being a project that we developed inside the IDB and with stakeholders to create the infrastructure. But at some point, we realized that we needed to create a spin-off of the project because we needed to have an internal entity being able to manage this. So we created LACnet, which is it's an independent entity hosted in the House of Internet in Uruguay, and LACnet is the main operator of the main net of LAC chain. And this really helps us in being able to scale this project beyond the IDB and also to offer a commercial product that can be with very convenient fees that can be used by anybody in the region, really. By having done this, we were able to consolidate a community of entrepreneurs and also of organizations that support the project. And as you may imagine, COVID was a real, became an opportunity to show the use of this technology because countries needed to have vaccination certificates that would be valid in a cross-border manner and health IDs and so on. And the good thing is that through the LAC chain infrastructure, the IDB was able to provide those solutions to countries that needed them. And this obviously meant that the program became way more known in the region, and that fostered adoption. We're going now to the next level with this partnership with IFAD.
Thank you so much. And yesterday we were just discussing, Mara, you and Ozer were emphasizing the importance of ensuring that this is in fact a digital public good, and that we develop it with the vision that it's a digital public good offered by the Moonshots for Development Alliance. I don't know, Ozer, if you want to share anything on that particular vision.
Yes, very much so. In terms of the vision definition that we have been working on for the last couple of years, we're trying to understand the reasons for coming together. And one of the things behind this is the name itself, Moonshots. Things that we can do together that we can not do alone. Especially in the world of AI where we're moving, sharing of data, sharing of assets to create something bigger than what individually we can in our either regions or platforms that we are working on. So in a way, we're thinking through the alliance itself and the key services that we will be embarking on. They're not just around platform sharing. They're about knowledge sharing. They're coming together of challenges that we are all facing. And wherever we find commonalities, we align resources to do bigger things together.
Thank you so much, sir. With that, I would like to now.
Can I just briefly chime in?
Yes, of course.
That's okay. Just wanted to mention this, and this is a very interesting initiative on Agro Web3, and just a little bit of context. So we actually conducted a couple of experiments in this context of agri supply chains using blockchain and tokenization as well. So it was not just traceability, but how you can tokenize the agricultural produce, because the idea was for increased access to finance. The collateral that has been generally used, the farmers generally have less power to negotiate that. So the idea was, how can we tokenize the produce post-harvest so that they can reach out to financial institutions, MFIs, to use that as collateral and smart contract-based disbursement of loans to not just the farmers, but to logistical service providers who help in the supply chain to farmers to move the produce also to the export markets. So it was a very interesting piece of learning. We did that in a lab environment and tested it out in field testing in a couple of countries, one in Africa, one in Latin America, actually. But then the challenge, in fact, was how do we move to the next stage? And I think this is very interesting to learn about what Mara just shared about Agro Web3. And if there is, a model of how we can take Web3 and apply in different contexts, would be very interesting to just follow up on that. And what is that operational model for using this in like customizing it based on specific country context. That'll be very interesting. One challenge that we faced was how do you implement it in a very restrictive, less capacity digital infrastructure environment. Just to give you one example, when we went on field, so in the lab it works, but when we went on field, even to reach the farmers, we had to remove trees from the road so that our vehicle could move forward. The farmers didn't have access to even feature phones. So that was another revelation for us. We thought, okay, even if they have feature phones, we could, abstract out the digital wallet components of it. So again, these are some interesting learnings, but of course, the user base is broad, right? Different user base have different kind of capabilities in them. So it's interesting in the sense, how we could take this and implement it. So it would be very interesting to follow up on the Agro Web3 idea.
Thank you so much for this, Raunak. I would really love reading this report, this study that you have. Well, it's a POC, I understand, that you have done.
Correct.
We're 100% aligned with the lessons learned from the experience that you just shared. The very interesting thing about LagChain is it's like a living lab, in the sense that because we already have a community of actors who are already developing market-based solutions on top of that, we learn through them. And this is the magic about creating digital public goods. Anybody will fork or adopt your standard and take it to the next level. So we have, for example, startups in Peru who were working around tracing alpaca and faced some of the shortcomings that you just discussed related to on the one hand, availability of smartphones in certain rural areas and connectivity. And on the other hand, the digital savviness of the users, which also poses some challenges in terms of user experience and how you design the technology to make sure that it's low floor and anybody with the most basic skills can hop onto it, and high ceiling in the sense that you can provide all the services that you want through that application. And what we have learned collaborating with these actors that use LagChain is how to develop digital/analog solutions that can thrive in these rural ecosystems. And our vision is that through the Web3 approach, we will create the protocol, the standard for digital wallets, interoperable and open. But we are expecting to have at least 12 local solutions of digital wallets. And it's in these developments that we will have the nuances that will make them adoptable at the local level. And to us, that's exactly, as you mentioned, the key to success. If you really want to be able to have a sustainable solution that will scale in the long run and have adoption.
No, that's great. And it would be great to, maybe invite you for a discussion with our agriculture supply chain experts, industry experts with whom we work very closely, for just providing this opportunity and the kind of solutions that are available as digital public goods.
Yeah.
Which just makes it much more easier to then take it, customize it, adapt it, and implement in different contexts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one last point on Agro Web3 is the fact that LagChain has already received ISO certification as a single interoperable protocol for Latin America. Now we're elevating that certification to a universal certification. The proposal was already submitted and we have the hearing in June. So the teams are now getting ready for that hearing. If we are successful, as you know, that could have an incredible impact in the market, because then it would become the standard for digital wallets universally.
And we are already partners in the LagChain ecosystem at the
Exactly.
World Bank, so
Yes,
great.
exactly.
That's
So that facilitates everything. Yes, you're also part of LagNet, right?
I know about LagChain.
LagChain.
Yes.
LagChain. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I may add just one other point here. And this is a common theme that we face in all of our innovations that leave lab. There's one stage when it leaves the lab and hits a country or a region, and we then grow the product. And then there's another stage when it becomes a regional public good or a global public good. And there we still, I think all of us, we're struggling with how to maintain that as a product. When you look at the commercial side, if you look at any software or any application, it is managed as a product with support for localization, with features, with compliance to standards. And sometimes that whole infrastructure that we need for digital public goods, we as IFIs don't have it. We just don't have it. I mean, we're very good at sort of conceptualizing. We're very good at connecting the dots with the user base, with the farmers, but we forget that the digital public good requires its own full infrastructure, productization, release every year, maintenance, so on and so forth. And that piece we need to crack. And that's one of the things we're also kind of discussing in Moonshot for Development. When we deem something as a global public good, then it should have an infrastructure for maintaining it, supporting it, productizing it, releasing it. And there things start falling apart. Because currently, globally, if you look at what's one true digital public good that exists? One, I can think of one. Yeah, so globally, right? So it's very tough, but that's the direction we're kind of moving towards. So we have to kind of think through as we embark on this, pick few among the alliance that we can take to that level.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I have a question on the first part of this session on the presentation of Saad, if we still have time, like 2 minutes. I was really interested in how you elaborated on this goal of setting up a new trust fund. You mentioned AI for development, right? So I wanted to learn a little bit more about that. So you said you reached already out to potential donors. You mentioned a objective of $100 million. So I think two things, like who do you feel could be interested in supporting this type of idea from the donor community? And if you link to other trust funds and let's say similar or related initiatives from other IFIs, let's say, to come to my mind from the World Bank, you have the new Global Data Facility, right, which has an AI component. You have the Digital Development Partnership, who has an AI component. So I think that this community could be quite relevant to foster this coordination among the different existing and upcoming initiatives. So a few more words would be great.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask you, we finished the conversation, so we give Mara a chance to reply to Ozer's comment. And then because your contribution and Saad's contribution is linked to the financing mechanism that we want to put together for the Alliance. So we give the floor to Mara, and then we continue on the trust fund.
Just very briefly, it couldn't be more aligned with the observations that were just shared by Osier. We, as multilateral organizations, don't really have experience or a great capacity developing software and managing what it entails to have the huge responsibility that it entails to have a standard for digital public good that requires maintenance, development, the cost associated to the technology, but also the technical teams, and the huge responsibility in creating technologies that are privacy preserving, but also to have the best standards in terms of cybersecurity, because we need to make sure that we are creating something that is safe to use. And as you know, with the pressure that we have for cybersecurity now, this is very costly to run in the long term. So the only way in which we can have a seat as multilateral organizations and international organizations, the only serious way in which we can take a seat at the big table where a technology is discussed is if we understand how how technology is developed and the intricacies in maintaining these technologies. And this is something that as Moonshots for Development, we can contribute as well, because there's no benchmark for this. But there's a huge opportunity for us to step up and create these contributions in technology, to create more equal opportunities in the technology markets as well. So I'm looking forward to using 2024 also as a space for us to discuss how to do this collectively.
Thank you so much, Mara. So now we can go back to Chris' question, and I would say we also need to frame it within this grand design document that IFAD has put together and that has shared with all of you to create the first seed funding and support the research of the new financing mechanism. It's the contribution from IFAD to the Moonshots for Development Alliance for research purposes and for the seed funding for the Open Innovation Challenges is a $2 million contribution. So the initiative also from SAD would be linked to that. SAD, over to you. Oh, very importantly, Chris, in the remarks that you were making before regarding all these different mushroom financing mechanisms that we have in the agencies, the reason why we have integrated a research component in the seed funding for the financing mechanism is that one of the barriers that we have identified for our agencies to associate in one financing mechanism that can be used by everyone with the ambition to be able to mobilize resources is different mandates, different requirements from our constituencies and our governance bodies, and also different procurement practices. So the research is also intended to look at all those differences and come up with recommendations on how we can build that financing mechanism. Over to you guys.
And just a quick response to that. It's very interesting because what you just mentioned reflects very well the discussions we've had about 5 years ago when we actually liaised with our IFI partners in the setup of the ESA GDA program. Yes, because the GDA program was only set up to work in partnership with IFIs, right? So our member states supported it because of the agreement we had with IFIs for the IFIs to complement. So the initial idea was actually not for ESA to work bilaterally with every IFI, and every IFI puts in place a certain programmatic counterpart, like how we have it now. But the initial idea was to essentially together create a FIF, a fiduciary intermediary fund, and for all IFIs to be able to tap into in a complementary manner to ESA. That didn't work out for simple reason that to set up a FIF, you need 200 million starting capital, right? And we couldn't basically mobilize the donors to come up with 200 million. So that's why it kind of grew more organically. And now, you know, if this could be a way to actually get back to this path, I think it could be very interesting because there's so much to do, as you said, right? What an individual IFI can't do alone, but together there is more firepower behind it. I think that could be a very interesting idea.
Thank you for the question. So we definitely looked at World Bank's digital development partnership, and basically it is using World Bank's own resources and some external resources. But like all trust funds, if it is a bank managed trust fund, whether it's ADB, World Bank, it is for only for us, right? So it's for only our project. So this is one area which we wanted to expand and make it open. Secondly, I think each one of us right now is working on a new initiative in AI, or maybe more than one. You may be partnering with agriculture or with health, or because there is like a huge interest. And so what we feel will happen, and that may happen anyway, is that there will be a lot of these small initiatives, you know, small. I don't want to say that they are not important. I'm just saying that there will be just a lot of these small initiatives in various sectors, regions. And so if we can have a broader partnership and mechanism to sort of at least have some coordination, because soon, I mean, smaller things like experts, so we will be fighting, not fighting, but competing for experts in the same country, in the same sector. And so there are many areas, and we have seen this in the climate change, in other areas. So this is one way to sort of at least try to have that coordination. In terms of potential donors, so we are in Asian Development Bank, for example, we are managing two funds. One is supported by Korea, which is called E-Asia Fund, supporting e-government and those kinds of elements. And then we have a high-level technology fund, which is mainly contributed by Japan. We have also reached out to the there is a coalition of Islamic banking, so Islamic Development Bank, and then they have a coalition with OPEC Fund, Kuwait Fund, Saudi Fund. So they are a coalition of 6 organizations, and especially Islamic Development Bank has a big focus on S&T, science and technology. And so we have these different elements which we want to not combine, but have a particular focus on AI, because the way it is growing, I think soon some of the trust funds that are focusing on technology side, they will be asked to like change or especially add AI or make those changes. So and as Gladys mentioned, we are so with this concept, we want to develop further as a financing mechanism. So it's just a start, and we would like to use this the program that Gladys mentioned to refine this further. But I think it will be so everybody told us, not everybody, many people said that it's a big undertaking. So establishing a global fund can take a year, 2 years, and that may be true. But we can make an effort. In worst cases, if the fund is not established, we still have some mechanism to coordinate our initiatives focusing on AI. Thank you.
Maybe I'll just add, one is the fund, and second is, why this fund? What's the reason? We have an AI lab that we've been working and researching what does AI means for development and climate. And when we see the amount of venture capital flowing into private sector and then getting monetized, for example, if you want to have a good climate risk assessment tool, it will cost more than $1 million per year in subscription. I won't take the names of the companies here. So if we don't invest in AI for dev or AI for climate, then the value add from IFIs and development agencies will have to be different. Any sector that we look at, and on the side of ADB, you're looking at transport or energy, climate. Each sector has major implications when it comes to AI-based transformation of that sector. So for us, if we want to make a dent in climate, we need data from all countries and develop these sort of models or AI capacity. This would require resources globally. So that's one of the reasons we're kind of thinking through how to tackle that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uzair. We have run out of time for the discussion session of the first part of today's Stocktaking. We're going to move now to what I would like to see as our Foresight, because we have invited some colleagues from organizations that are interested in that you heard before when they were presenting. I think that what I would like to share with you is also the selection criteria for inviting the presenters today, which is, I think that they have something quite innovative to offer for us to take a look at. And in the case of CJR, what I find fascinating is the work that they have developed and the methodology for innovation management. So I'm really eager to listen to them and share. Actually, we have met with them at least a couple of times, but I wanted to share the experience with you. Then we will have Chris from the World Bank with the Ag Results model. And I have asked also Chris to please also highlight the difference in the innovation model that they are implementing. And we will then move on to AIIB with the new tech platform that they have developed. So they share also that with us. And then we will complete the presentations of Dragon's Den with Chris from the European Space Agency. And he's going to be talking about the Global Development Assistance, which he already introduced. I'm going to stop here and then give the floor to CJR so that we can present the innovation management model. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carmela. Can you confirm that you can hear and see me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. We prepared a few slides. Yeah, so I hope this is visible. Can you confirm?
Yes, it's full screen now. Thank you, Mark.
So thank you everybody so much. We have been listening with great fascination about the innovations that are going on in this space. I think many of you, like us, we work in a context where we believe that innovations can make an important contribution to sustainable development goals. I've heard that mentioned a couple of times. The question is how do we manage that effectively? So I think with this slide, I try to visualize, or we try to visualize a challenge that many of us face. So we are working globally, investing globally on thousands of innovation projects or innovations that are under development. And then through all sorts of processes and protocols and incentive mechanisms, organizational structures, we believe that these investments ultimately will contribute to sustainable development goals. This visualization tells us two things. The first one is that in many cases and in many organizations, sector-wide, there is a black box of how that actually happens. And what this also tells us is that not all great ideas, not all of these thousands great ideas or innovations that are under development will ultimately become these impact cases that we are so much in need of to combat malnutrition, climate change, and other kinds of development challenges. And this was actually a starting point for CJR to rethink its approach to how we manage our innovation portfolio. So, the high level of this is that this pile of Lego that we have in our organization, we want to be able to manage, structure, organize that in such a way that we can actually use it more proactively to build the house that resembles impact and a more intentional approach to innovation, scaling, and impact. And CJR's innovation management approach very much builds on the technology readiness levels that are adapted from NASA. And we call it, or we coined it, the scaling readiness approach, because we want to be able to nurture our innovations along an impact pathway with scale in mind. And we all know that these kinds of idea to impact pathways can take 10 to 15 years. We want to show progress. We don't expect everything to end up having impact. And we want to use evidence to make decisions on what kind of innovations we actually continue, what are our star or moonshot innovations, what are the ones that are maybe not as promising as we would have hoped, so that we can also stop, put things on hold, and reinvest resources in areas where it's very much needed. We also want to emphasize that innovation management is not just about data, it's not just about systems that will help us to track and trace innovation better. It's actually very much also about organizational and sectoral culture and capacity growth, especially in a sector where we are, where we work on science-based innovation. This more evidence and structured way of working is not always people are not always used to that. So we have developed a protocol for innovation management that I think, listening to the sessions that have been ongoing, would be also interesting for many of you in the room. So we basically split up our protocol or our innovation management approach into 4 key components. So we want to profile all of the innovations that are being developed in the organization. This is to give people overview. This is to give an idea of what is being developed where, what is the readiness level of these innovations. Are they still at idea or proof of concept, or are they already being tested and in controlled or in uncontrolled conditions by farmers or by other kinds of end users? From all of these innovations, we know that not all will lead to impact. We want to develop innovation packages for those that are scaling ready. And innovation packages are basically putting innovation into context. So many of you have already referred to that global innovations or abstract innovation at some point, for them to have impact, they need to become part of context-specific innovation packages. So for example, that look at the markets, that look at the policies, that look at the business opportunities, the finance mechanisms in a specific country or in a specific region. Only through packaging an innovation and contextualizing an innovation can actually be meaningful for those who want to use and benefit from it. And then we go a little bit further down the pipeline and develop scaling strategies for those packages that have transformation potential, where there is finance, where there's clear demand. And you can see from the number of dots on the screen that this is how we manage going from 1,000 great ideas or 1,000 innovations to the 100 of impact cases. Through this protocol that I want to re-emphasize is evidence-based. We also know what is deprioritized and why. And that's very important because in many of our organizations, we are not very good at acknowledging failure, learning, and making sure that we, as we move along this pipeline, we invest like proper resources in those innovations that have transformation or impact potential. And that we stop those things that maybe were great ideas, but are not proven to work, and reinvest into new ideation to tackle the problems that we are facing. You can also see from here that innovation management cuts across. So innovation management refers to all these 3 stages, keeping track of how things are evolving. So currently, we are applying this approach to a portfolio of approximately $300 million annual. That is not our entire portfolio. It represents approximately 30% of our portfolio, but still it's a very good starting point, and we can already see like broader adoption taking place. So I just want to give like a few examples. What you can see like at what we do with profiling all innovations, we currently, after 2 years of innovation management implementation, we have approximately 900 innovations that are being tracked along this protocol. So we have innovation readiness levels, innovation readiness information, we have geographic information, we know to which sustainable development goals these innovations are expected to contribute. We have information on partnerships, we have information on where intellectual property rights may apply, etc., etc. Of these innovations, like we have been packaging 40. So these are 40 promising innovations that we try to contextualize in specific countries where we work with local partners, with local organizations, with funders, etc. So as I explained already, this is really about like, hey, we have a great drought-tolerant new maize variety, but let's make sure that we also spend sufficient attention to the enabling environment, such as the seed system, the market, the policy, seed certification, and all these kind of things, so that these innovations do not end up being on the shelf, but that they are actually being used in the context where they are supposed to contribute to impact. We are currently developing 6 scaling strategies. This is work that we are doing together with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And the scaling strategies are a very like detailed action plan that considers finance, that considers governance, that considers communication, policy advocacy, etc. For innovations that have transformation potential. And as I explained before, like we develop innovation portfolio management overviews for specific projects, for specific countries, on specific topics like climate, and so forth. And this is really to provide our decision makers with information based on which they can prioritize the portfolio. And we know whether the portfolio is healthy, diverse, where there are some gaps that could offer a starting point for strategic resource mobilization, communication, and etc.
Mark, I need to ask you to start wrapping up.
Yes, for sure. We have a results dashboard that looks like what you see on the left. It has all of the data publicly available for our partners. So have a scan this QR code, and we will also share the URL in the chat. And I think like the final slide is like we have a very nice we have that protocol. We are using it as Carmela explained, like we have exchanged it with a lot of organizations who find it interesting. I think like for us, the next step is really to start moving into the space of more holistic innovation ecosystem management. So that means that we can link our innovation database and share our protocols with other organizations so that we move into each other's space and make sure that what the development banks, what IFAD, what CJR and others are working on is connected. And that's very important because we can leverage our comparative advantage. We can connect better with demand, and we can increase efficiencies, avoid duplication when working in certain countries or with certain partners, and etc. So we are ready to share that protocol. If this is something you find interesting, then please reach out so that we can explore where are the connection and the touch points. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. Mark, I'm flattered that you confused me with Carmela. My name is Gladys.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So now we're going to move on to Chris Brett from the World Bank. He's going to be talking about the ag results model. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Gladys. I'm just trying to set this in the slide mode. Can you see it okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Right, thanks very much. I just want to really sort of introduce to the audience here, the participants, about this a program called Ag Results. It's been running for 10 years. It's a World Bank initiative with many donors. I mean, including, you'll see as we go through with Canada, USA, Gates Foundation, DFID, FCDO, and Australia. And what this is really a new sort of way that the bank's looking at really driving innovation into quite a few of our programs. So we've been sharing this methodology, this model, with other development organizations like FAO and IFAD, because this is what we regard as a market pull mechanism. You know, development has been very traditionally pushing, but this is a pull where we incentivize the private sector to work and innovate around smallholder markets. So it's a $152 million multi-donor initiative. And it's basically, when we talk about a prize competition, it is based on this P4R, payment for results model. So incentivizing the private sector to invest in high impact agricultural innovations and looking at the following goals. We're looking at, of course, all the issues around food insecurity, improving household nutrition and health, and also very much on livestock as well. So the very strong theory of change here, as you can see on this slide, you know, we're looking at really spending a lot of time designing and developing these new technologies with the private sector, looking at donor networks, looking at innovation, where we can then say, where does this fit to smallholders? Where does it fit to the private sector? Then we develop and build a market-driven prize competition. And these competitions, you know, they really do, they offer a very unique value add over the traditional push grant funding. So this is a real incentive, you know, private sector. And, you know, I'll just talk through a lot of the experiences because this has been running 10 years now. And what we do see is that when the private sector engages, they look at these prize competitions, which can be very sizable prizes based on their performance, as a real startup cost to their business. You know, they really turn around and think, right, if I do this and I get this takes out a lot of my startup costs. It helps on the cash flow of the business. And we all know that at the end of the day, business startups, they need cash flow. And these prizes really do offer that opportunity. Obviously, you know, when we design these, it's a great way of really an opportunity to raise awareness of technologies. We only pay for results, but we give a lot of support as well to the private sector to achieve the prize. So it's not just about setting a prize and then running away. It is about how you support the private sector to engage with the smallholders. So we drive a lot of influence around the smallholders to engage in the markets, and we do the connectivity around the actual innovation to the innovation to the you know, to the actual off-takers or the private sector. So what we're looking at here about is creating the enabling environment that encourages the private sector to actually scale agricultural technologies and make market systems more sustainable and resilient. So it's not just about the prize, it's about the business model. It's about developing that business. And then as the prize goes forward, the momentum picks up and the scale picks up. And the prize is basically, as I say, an intervention to get the whole system moving. And then the system will move on its own when the whole market has been built. So this gives an example that over the years, we've been doing these programs. You can see from Nigeria, Senegal, Uganda, all the way through to Indonesia, mixing aquaculture, food security-based products, looking at in Tanzania, dairy. And we're looking at, very important, the vaccine markets. We've got a foot and mouth vaccine coming forward for East Africa. That's a prize of $17 million to develop that vaccine and implement it. All these details are available on our website. The biggest prize competition is the brucellosis vaccine development. We put a $25 million prize to develop a brucellosis vaccine for small ruminants. This is a very, very important vaccination. It's a very important way where we're saying that technology has to be designed to work in the applicable markets. And also, the people who develop the vaccine have got to connect to the market, to connect to the actual private sector to supply. And importantly, these vaccines have to work without cold chain or cool chain so that they're applicable for the environments that we work in. We want to remove all of those kind of restrictions. So you can see very much here about, you know, ag results in action. And then here, you know, really, you know, how do we design this whole mechanism? I'm being very quick in the interest of time, but, you know, all this information is available. You know, we start looking at concepts, and we develop the concepts by surveying the private sector, listening to smallholders, listening to development sector. You know, where is the challenge? Where is the opportunity for a solution to come in? So we look at the concept, we analyze in detail how to set up the prize, we structure the prize, we right size the prize, and of course we have to verify and manage the whole area around the actual prize delivery as well, with the competitors and with the smallholders. And we also do regular reviews with our evaluators so we can see, is the prize off track? Is it too ambitious? Is it achievable? And, you know, I don't want to say we change the rules frequently. We can negotiate as we go along, as markets change. If we need to give a tweak or a change to the rules across all the competitors to make sure that the prize is achievable so that we can keep that flow and interest moving. So this is my last slide. You know, we have this website, agresults.org. You know, I do ask you to, you know, to look at this, and we put a tremendous amount of learning So we have a structure here where we have a steering committee of very active donors, and they're not just here to finance, they're here as part of the learning. They are technical support to the program. I'm the chair of the steering committee of AgResults, at the World Bank. The World Bank is the trustee of the funds, but we have a secretariat that's contracted to deliver these projects and programs, plan the design, plan the dissemination with us, and so on. And they've developed a very, very strong prize competition toolkit, the actual learning library, defining the approach, and also really building the sustainability around the initiative. So we really would like to welcome this model to be taken into other development organizations. The World Bank is looking at how to scale AgResults within our portfolio of investments in agriculture and food global practice, where I sit. We're also, as I say, working with FAO. We are now building a collaboration with IFAD, where we're planning to hopefully develop 2 designs with the IFAD smallholder model and support the design and support the implementation for a minimum of 2 years to really drive the private sector. So we're focusing on the market, not on the productivity. So this is the market pull to the smallholders, a different model, but really, really worth looking at and worth thinking about. So I'm going to stop there. Thanks very much, Gladys. Back to you in the room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Now that you have heard from the members of the Alliance and the model, and after you held the workshop here at IFAD, what would you say would be the next step in a potential collaboration between AgResults and the Moonshots for Development Alliance?
Well, I would turn around and say is that, the secretariat that we have is a wealth of knowledge. They're based out of the US, but they are also funded to support, dissemination and development. And any of the partners here would like to know more about AgResults, the opportunity to collaborate, then reach out to me and I will do those, hookups and designs. We've had a lot of innovation around aquaculture, vaccines, livestock like dairy. And also we've been looking at legumes. We've been looking at how we can influence things like maize, where there's the big aflatoxin risk in maize. And aflatoxin production in West Africa particularly is not, and East Africa actually, is not getting into the markets well for processing, for example, for poultry feed because of the aflatoxin risk. So we've been supporting the development of AlphaSafe as a solution to eliminate aflatoxin. So a lot of the programs we have developed are scaling, but our participants here could look at the technology, and if they like the technology we develop, they're welcome to take that. It's a global public good and scale it within their own innovations, or come up with ideas of where they could see a market failure with smallholders. It's not about large companies, it's about smallholders, and see that where we can influence the private sector through the prize mechanism to get involved. That's the way I would like to sort of present it. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. I see 2 potential next follow-up actions. Carmela. To note in the minutes of today's meeting, 2 follow-up actions. One, Chris, is in the conversations that we had in Manila with ADB's team of agriculture. The question of these innovation models like the one that you just presented came up. So I think that there is potential for us to collaborate with the ADB team in agriculture and maybe present this model to them if you haven't done it already. And the other thing is, if I recall correctly, part of the services that AgResults offers is when there is the identification of a potential partnership, you put in place advisory services to help design that collaboration with an in-kind contribution that is actually quite financially significant. So maybe very quickly before we move on, because we're short of time, very quickly, if you can share that with the members here, please.
Yeah, what we're looking at here, we'd love to build a collaboration with IFAD and with another partner in the room here. We're offering to actually do 2 in-depth designs and 2 years of mentoring to implement those designs through IFAD. We're also doing the same model through FAO, and we've also established a working relationship with TNC through the AgResults model as well. So there's a lot of partnership, there's a lot of collaboration, but do reach out. I'm very happy to give much more detail, suggestions or detailed presentations of ag results with our secretariat, the technical experts, and see where we can collaborate. But the door is open, and we would like to hear from you. So thanks very much, Gladys, and thanks for this opportunity. Really
Thank you so much, Chris. I would say to the colleagues of ADB that we follow up with the agriculture sector themes so that we make those that connection happen. And then with the LACCHAIN team at the Inter-American Development Bank. Regina, I don't know, or anyone else in the room, CJR, if anyone else also wants to schedule follow-up calls, then we'll be follow up with you, Chris. We're going to move now to the next presentation by the colleagues of AIIB. They will be introducing the InfraTech portal to us. Over to you guys.
Great, thank you everyone. So in about 7 minutes, we will present to you our new digital platform called the InfraTech portal. But first, let me start with why we've developed it. So we're the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So we focus on financing sustainable infrastructure. And in our corporate strategy, we have 4 thematic priorities. One of them is technology-enabled infrastructure. So what that means is 2 things. One, increasing the adoption of technology across all the infrastructure sectors that we finance, which you can see at the bottom, and investing more into innovative technologies. So we do that mostly through investing in private equity and venture capital funds. And we're increasingly moving into direct equity investing as well. So when we talk about infratech, we really mean any type of technology applied to infrastructure. So this means digital technologies like software, AI, engineering solutions like drones, robotics, or new materials. So despite the fact that this has tremendous value opportunity across infrastructure sectors, we see that infrastructure is still one of the least productive sectors and also one of the least digitized sectors. So when asking ourselves why that is, we've seen that some of the challenges are quite simple, namely that infrastructure decision makers are not aware enough of what technologies could help them, what is the proof of value, and we also see a lack of dialogue between infrastructure and technology. So to address this, we have created the InfraTech portal, and we would be happy to give you a demo after the presentation. So what it basically does is it's a knowledge platform where companies, the users, can upload their solutions to reach new clients. We are promoting this of course, among our clients and partners in our 109 member countries, but we really position it as a free, open, and neutral platform that is open to anyone around the world. So we see that this has a tremendous benefit, not only for obviously technology companies that can promote it, and it's basically free marketing, or infrastructure players that can make better decisions on their infrastructure designs, but also investors who can promote the portfolio companies, governments, or research and innovation agencies. So this is not the first kind of technology platform out there, of course. But what makes this unique and why we developed it is we really wanted to guide infratech adoption from start to finish. So all the way from informing an infrastructure decision maker on what kind of technologies are out there that I could consider for my next project, to what are the benefits, challenges, and where can I buy it. And we really cover all the infrastructure sectors, whereas other platforms that we've seen could only focus on, for example, health tech. But we see this as a free public good in our mission to finance sustainable infrastructure. And we have already started partnering with similar platforms and initiatives that all contribute to the same goal. So we are now reaching out to clients, partners, anyone to spread the word, to make sure, that people actually understand how to use it and what the benefit could be for them. So I'll hand it over to Roman to provide you a very brief demo.
Yeah, so you can go on www.infratechportal.org right now and see exactly what it looks like. The ultimate goal is that utilities, infrastructure owners, operators, developers can find solutions to the problems that they are actively facing. So we divide all the information into largely 3 categories. There's the solution, which explains how a technology actually solves a problem, the case study of where has it been successfully implemented, and then the solution providers, which are the companies that you can contact that provide viable and workable solutions. So to Chris's last point, let's say a small holder or a municipality is struggling with landslides. You can type in the problem of a landslide and you will see every solution that's associated with this. And upon exploring it further, you're given a pretty detailed analysis of how does satellite technology address landslides? What are the financial benefits, environmental and social benefits? What are the actual technical components, including the companies that provide them? What have been the challenges in adopting this in markets across the world? And where has this actually been implemented successfully? So right now, the portal has about more than 200 solutions, 300 case studies, about 1,000 tech companies. And this is from AIB's experience in our projects, in our sector strategy expertise. But we hope, and we've been working with organizations like IRENA, UNIDO, to provide more technical expertise for those developing countries, for the infrastructure clients that can actually apply them. And if you go on the portal now and you register, you could start submitting your own cases of successful implementation or your own technology to make sure that this technology can be utilized effectively.
Great. So we of course, we hope that this could be of use for your organizations, your partners. For example, IDB Labs, ADB Ventures. We're hoping to get your thoughts, but also your feedback to see how we can improve it and get your thoughts on whether this could be useful for you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Any questions? I am experiencing some technical difficulties trying to access your portal, but maybe it's IFAD's firewall.
Yeah, just quickly, this is Ozair Khan from ADB. Yes, extremely interested in knowing more about this and partnering. We have something similar, but not the same. And we were thinking how to develop a taxonomy for infra tech, which you have done here. So I think there's a lot of potential here for us to collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ozair. So you will be doing that, you will be making that connection with AIIB. Any other, Chris, from the European Space Agency?
Thanks, Gladys. Very interesting presentation. I obviously kind of got hooked at the end with the satellite example. We've been working on that particular example that you showed, like, landslides, susceptibility mapping, etc., for a long time, obviously, also in collaboration with ADB, with World Bank, etc. And there are obviously a lot of providers. So I was wondering, how are you managing this kind of bias, right? I see you have one provider there now of one solution. So are you encouraging others to go there, or are you kind of vetting these providers who upload solutions, or is it a complete open marketplace essentially? Because we could certainly help populate that database with many, many different solutions if we understand a bit better how that works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, thank you for the question. So it is an open model, right? So we really invite other companies to add their solutions. Right now, if we have one solution and tagged to it is only one company, That is just because we're just at the beginning, right? The idea is that when other companies come on the website and they see, hey, why is my company not there? They are invited, they are enticed to add their information. It's not a complete open Wikipedia model, so we have one step of moderation to somehow control the inflow, make sure that it's in the right data format, block any potential spam, but we don't do any technical due diligence and provide any sort of stamp of approval. So we do emphasize that it's neutral and open, but it does not mean that being on the portal means that a company is AIIB endorsed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for the question. I still cannot access the portal. We have also tried from our mobile phones, so we will check later. Huh? Or, did you try that?
No, you need to do it. Si el HTTP directo, no.
Okay, thanks so much. We will move on now to Chris's presentation from the European Space Agency, and Chris is going to be sharing a little bit more information with us on the Global Development Assistance. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you. So I understand I have minus 25 minutes, so I'll be quick. I'll try to just show you every second slide and you imagine the rest. So let's see how this works. Okay, very quickly to move on here. For those of you who, obviously we are a little bit the odd animal here. We are not an IFI, so I'm trying to explain in a nutshell what is actually the European Space Agency. You may imagine a lot about space, but we are a bit different even in the space agency community. Most space agencies are national space agencies, right? NASA, the US Space Agency, JAXA, the Japanese Space Agency. We are an intergovernmental organization ourselves. We have 22 member states, basically all of the European countries coming together, even if they have their own national space agencies, to achieve something that they individually cannot do. So what Osair was mentioning before reflects quite well with me, because that's what we are all about. Another important thing is we work for exclusively peaceful purposes. So we don't use space assets for any kind of military activities. So it's part of our charter. The annual budget of about 7 billion that goes into all matters of space. And I'll show you that in a second. Here, just for reference, our member states, it's important that ESA is not part of the EU. We are a separate entity. We obviously overlap largely with the EU, but we have countries like Switzerland, Norway, or the UK who are part of ESA, but not part of the EU. I was talking about all aspects of space, so most of those aspects I would assume are not necessarily relevant here, right? Space science, mission operations, launching, etc., is not what we're talking about here. That said, navigation, telecommunication, and Earth observation, I would say, are the three elements of space that are very relevant also for international development. And we particularly focus on Earth observation. So I'm hosted by the ESA Directorate of Earth Observation Programs. What do we do with Earth observation? Actually, this is just a graphic on all the missions that we are managing. You can classify them in three streams. It's the science missions, where we test new innovative technology, trying if it works and if it can become operational. There's on the far right, the meteorological missions, which is very operational, right? They feed into weather forecasts, etc., etc. And the center part is really the power horse, I would say, of Earth observation at the moment. It's the Copernicus program, which is the largest Earth observation program in the world, that offers essentially free and open data on a lot of different things to anybody who wants to use it. And it's a lot of data. We distribute at the moment 350 terabytes of data every day, right? So we have to use AI methods and cloud processing and everything, because it's just not possible to work with that data otherwise. And as I said, all of that is open and free. It's an investment that ESA and the European Commission together make. It's just an illustration. One pair of these satellites, what they do is the optical sensors Optical means they take essentially pictures, and it looks like what you see with your eyes, right? Not infrared, not radar, not microwave, etc. And this twin pair of satellites actually measures the entire land mass of the Earth every 5 days. So you get a global picture once a week, 10-meter resolution, right? So for a lot of applications, this is perfectly fine. You don't need to buy data. This is there to use. So and it's being used, right? So that's the segue here now. So especially if you look at the SDGs, there is no target, almost no indicator that doesn't make use of satellite data, and some of them can only be monitored and measured with satellite data. So we are now claiming that we are in this kind of new era where we are feeling the pulse of our planet continuously. So there's such a wealth and breadth of data that there is no justification anymore also for non-tech experts to not use that data. Right? So we really want to push for uptake of this data in operational activities. So, okay, this is one of these slides that I can skip, but I think we all agree that we kind of trust in data. We talk about a lot of innovation here, right? So innovation means something else for everybody in this room. If you look at the space sector, I mean, the first satellites were launched in the 50s, right? You know Sputnik. But what we have now, we have satellites that have AI-powered chips on board the satellite, right? So we are not only talking anymore about using AI to analyze the data, but AI on board of the satellite. So essentially, the satellite decides itself what it does, if I summarize it. So that said, this is not necessarily the type of innovation that's relevant for the IFI community, right? So it doesn't always come in form of a new product or new technology, but sometimes it's simply a new way to address an old problem. And I think this is very much what we try to do in partnership with the IFIs. Satellite Earth observation has been around for decades, but it's not really used in an operational manner in development as of yet, but I think we're getting closer. So trying to squeeze the remaining 50 slides in 1 minute. What we do in the Global Development Assistance Program is really working in partnerships. So if we were doing it alone, it has zero impact. It only works if we implement it together with our IFI partners. And this slide summarizes that, this approach that we've been following for the last 15 years, together with World Bank, ADB, IDB, IFAD, AFDB, and others. So you don't need to read through it, but in a nutshell, we've been trying to move from raising awareness to, increasing the acceptance level within the IFIs and client counterparts in the developing countries to, foster real adoption, right? So, and adoption can only work if you even go beyond capacity building. You need to transfer the skills. You need to empower those entities in the countries to do it themselves in the long run and not rely on the global north in supplying them with solutions. So this is this kind of framework here, but I skipped this slide also. So to illustrate, we've talked about agriculture. The last presentation was about infrastructure. So this slide shows you what we are addressing as part of the Global Development Assistance Program. It's essentially anything linked to infrastructure, sustainable development, health, environment, all these topics we address in a targeted manner with our partners. And the latest edition will actually be a dedicated focus on climate adaptation and finance, which is also an interesting one. So what I wanted to show you before I conclude with a number of examples is this programmatic approach that enables us to go beyond just individual case studies, right? We've been working in, 100 countries with a lot of institutions, but to really scale, you need to kind of find the common threads, right? So how do you actually transfer one solution from a country to a larger framework? So that's how we put in place this GDA framework where we do monitoring and evaluation. We do, we have a knowledge component, knowledge exchange component. We have a fast co-financing facility. So all this is grounded in a defined impact pathway. And this again is done together with our partners. So we have these institutional partnerships that you see listed here, co-partners, World Bank and ADB. IFAD and IDB have joined, actually, we have signed agreements most recently. and more about to come. So we have the AFDB, IMF, with who we're already working, and the two Europeans, EBRD and EIB. So, and I'll skip this one, even though I think this could actually be an interesting slide, but it shows just how this programmatic approach works, right? So that we put something in place and our partners put something in place. I mentioned it in the previous discussion. This is about coordination, resource mobilization, and getting things to scale, which is not the mandate of a space agency, right? Mandate scaling development is yours. So we're here just to try to support and help. So I skipped this one too. You can look at it later, but I wanted to still show you 3 examples before I wrap up. So one is, using space to support the implementation of projects is something that you may find not so disruptive anymore, but using space to actually mobilize extra finance is still is a pretty innovative thing that we've actually done with IFAD recently, where we helped the team to actually make their case in a proposal to solicit GCF co-funding, and it was successful. So in that sense, we also work directly as ESA with the funds, with GCF, CHEF, CIF, Adaptation Fund, to try to make them understand what the value is that Earth observation can bring, so that they actually look more for those types of rationale in the proposals, so that they can, have a better evidence-based investing also. Optimizing investments is a big thing. I mean, this is an example of the World Bank now, specifically the IFC, right, the private sector arm of the World Bank Group, that has a mandate, or it's mandatory for them to screen every investment that they make beforehand for climate risk, right? But they have been doing this in the past a bit, vaguely, let's say. Now we tried to help them integrate satellite observation and monitoring and modeling to make this a bit more quantitative. Another example also with ADB, which was a quite interesting one, optimizing an investment in Cambodia, where they had to actually design a flood embankment wall. And the initial design was not using spatial analytics. Then we came in, we basically helped them integrate Earth observation-based analysis of the risks, etc. And it resulted in a cost saving of about 20 to 25%, which in that case was about 5 million. But if you scale this, right, there are hundreds of such projects. So there's a lot of potential to optimize. And finally, this is the latest thing that we're about to start now. It's a pilot in Pakistan where we actually bring ADB and World Bank together, which means that we have an operational system. It's called Sen4Stat, using Sentinel satellites for agricultural statistics. And we will now implement this together in Pakistan, where we provide seed funding, and then ADB and World Bank scale it and eventually operationalize it with the government of Pakistan as part of a loan component. And I think this is exactly this. In our preparation call, I mentioned that recently, that this pathway from piloting and innovation to actually scaling it and making it something normal, right? In the IFI world, essentially, it's all about getting to loans, right? And I think there's a few examples that are very powerful here. So I stopped with this just to as food for thought, that what we do actually works. Because this is an analysis, we did text-based analysis of screening essentially all World Bank project documents of the last 25 years. We screened them for Earth observation-related keywords. And you see that over the last 10, 15 years, there is a steep increase of the use of these keywords. And now we are also complementing this analysis with actually screening the procurements and see how it is taken forward. So thanks, and yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you, Chris. I just wanted to highlight the incredible relevance of this collaboration with the European Space Agency, not only for our resource mobilization efforts, but as we emphasize the importance of data and evidence-based decision-making, the contribution from the European Space Agency has been extremely important for our impact assessment reports, for our conversations with donors, so that we can use the data to back up our statements. And moving forward, in June, we are holding an innovation lab with the European Space Agency, because the vision is that we don't wait for those impact assessment reports to work with you. And also not only for the resource mobilization efforts, but that we work with ESA in the early design of our program of loans. So that's where we're going. And we're very happy to welcome you to the Moonshots for Development Alliance as a full member. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Chris, for the presentation. A pattern that I'm seeing, and we speak a lot about impact and assessment, but I'm wondering who is really doing the sizing of the problem, and not the problem in general, but let's say if we speak about agriculture, what are the smaller topics that we need really to tackle? Can be topics like we say, we really need to tackle aflatoxin in Africa because it's affecting millions of smallholder farmers. So where are we really sizing the problem? And based on those, we prioritize. Because what I've seen in the first presentation with CGI, we all have hundreds of innovations, but we're not really starting about these are the 10 problems that we really want to tackle. And perhaps it's irrigation in MENA, and we put all our resources on what's the right way. And just wondering, because we at the World Food Program and the Accelerate, it's where we spend at the moment a lot of time of thinking, how can we put the limited resources, human and financial, on the right topics? And I just feel all of us, we have too many initiatives, which are nice, but what are the 10 we really need to win? So for me, it's super curious to hear about how we can use now Earth observation to perhaps identify the strongest levers. But my sense is we need to spend more time at the very beginning of the sizing and the breaking down of the problem. I don't know how this is for you, if you have any methodologies on how you do it. I think we internally at the moment spend a lot of food for thought on how can we get better on quantifying the need, not the impact of the innovation. That's for me at a later stage. Perhaps we don't have the innovation yet. And perhaps this is where we need to innovate, because the potential impact that we could have with the right innovation would be enormous. So that's a little bit, I feel we're not starting from the needs, from a problem perspective, but rather about we have amazing innovations. How can we scale some of them? But these are perhaps the wrong ones. Just open question to the room.
That's a really valid question, Chris. Yeah, I'm going to give the floor to you. And before I do that, because we started from that also last year, IFAD carried out a series of studies using behavioral science in partnership with the Green Climate Fund, and you are also aware of this collaboration with on behavioral science, because that's identifying the core of the problem and making sure that we understand the problem is quite important. But yeah, identifying those 10, not only for each of our organizations, but for the Alliance, I think is fundamental. Chris, over to you.
Thank you. I just want to say I really love this question, because it's, for us, obviously identifying the needs, the top needs in development, that's not the mandate of a space agency, right? So we actually try to do exactly that. When we work with the banks and we try to understand where can we engage, right? We basically ask them, what are your top priority needs in a specific topic, right? So, and then we iterate on it, because often actually, you tell them, okay, what do you think in your top bucket list, where can you use Earth observation? The answer is they don't know, right? The operational teams, they don't know. It's just not that they can say, oh yes, this is my top need and we would really like your support here. They just don't know. So it's often an iteration of, yes, you look at the big development needs, often it's linked to finance, right? Essentially, banks, not WFP, but the IFAs are banks. So it's often linked to financing. So the needs are often linked to where is the biggest financing needs, even though that might not necessarily reflect the needs for where you can create the biggest impact. But it's a very interesting conversation that we have every time we try to select, right? Because it's the same for me. If I have an activity on, I don't know, transportation, I say I put now 2 million, to get something started. And of course, with 2 million, you can only support a handful of projects with some seed activities. So how do I come to that handful of projects? It's always the same question: where are the needs, and what is the biggest high feasibility, high impact, essentially, right? It's very difficult to answer. Every time has a different context.
Thank you so much, Chris. I see Yolanda is, thank you, Chris. We acknowledge that you have to step out. We also have to step out very soon from this room because they need to get ready for the next session, our IT team, and Oser needs to deliver closing remarks. Yolanda, very quickly, your question, please.
Sure. No, I just wanted to make a comment. Thank you, Chris, for the presentation. I think it's super useful. And I just wanted to make a connection between what you presented and a partnership that I think many of the Moonshots members belong to. It's called the Development Data Partnership, and it's an alliance of different MDBs that use data and work along with tech companies in order to be able to boost their impact. So I just wanted to mention that because I think that there are a lot of synergies there. And I don't know if you're already a member. I see you're working with the World Bank and Asian Development Bank, but I think it might be worthwhile to explore the connection. And I know not everybody has access to the chat, but there is going to be an event on data hosted by the DDP in Paris on May 15th. So I just wanted to mention that and share with the members in the group, because I think that this is very much in line with what so many of us are doing, using AI, gathering data, and trying to boost our impact and have things reach scale. So just to share that, and thank you so much. I think it's been a great morning of wonderful presentations.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. Ozer, I'm sorry, we have cut your closing remarks time a lot. I'm going to have to ask you to deliver them in 2 minutes.
I'll do it in 60 seconds. So I was going to talk about Moonshots for Development and sort of where we're going, but in the time that we have, let me just go over the areas that Moonshot is currently focusing on. The first one is knowledge sharing, in terms of knowledge sharing between the members. Second, innovation management. I think we're very familiar with that, all of us. The third one, research and development, how we can cooperate on research together on similar topics. Fourth one, digital public goods and digital public infrastructure. That's a key focus as we move forward. Co-financing of joint ventures. Then international forums that we all get together on and connect. And lastly, establishing strategic connections. These are sort of current mission that we have for Moonshot for Development. However, after sort of listening to everyone in this meeting, Moonshots for Development, initially, the idea for Moonshot is, breakthrough development. But what I'm hearing from everyone here today, we have a scaling issue. So the real moonshot is taking from lab to the moon. It seems to be the real moonshot here. When I look at the European Space Agency saying, how can we get the use? When I look at our portals, when I look at everything presented, everyone is looking at how to scale, how to productize, how to make it part of how we work and how we live. Some of these bigger sort of innovation that are coming through. So I think we need to think through how in Moonshots we can enable that and focus more on the scaling part and coming back to the point about not all needs, but pick few that we take forward together to scale. When you look at on private sector, ChatGPT goes to 1 billion people in what very short time, right? When you look at others, the scale on private sector and commercialization is pretty quick. Our scale is not so good. So we need to figure out how to maybe pick few of them and take them to scale or to the moon in that sense. Whether it's a European Space Agency or GIS. I mean, GIS, everyone struggles to use GIS. You need like a team of like a GIS lab to use GIS. When you talk to operational people. And coming back to this concept of, a need finding innovation, innovation finding need, it's a tough one. It's chicken and egg. So I think we will add some of these to our Moonshot for development sort of agenda going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We have to leave the room so that our IT team can prepare it for the next session. And thank you, everyone, for your contributions, for being here. And we'll see you at 11:25, please. Thank you.